Hi guys, this is my basically follow-up video to my simulator build that I did a couple months ago, just kind of going in more details on everything. I know there's been a lot of questions. I've been doing my best to answer them. I thought I'd make a more in-depth video talking about price breakdown, dimensions, hitting locations, and basically every comment that I've got to try to answer any questions I can. So let's start off first with talking about the Carl's DIY enclosure. Now, I have nothing but good things to say about this enclosure. It's been amazing. I mean, as you can see, you might see some shadowing on there. That's just because of the way my lighting's set up in the room. So you're seeing on the left side of the screen, the shadow from the projector and kind of the shadow from light fixture I have over there. So I can assure you it's just nice and white, lays really flat, and I've hit thousands and thousands of balls. I've had people in here, all different types of golfers hitting, and it just really has done a good job. Like, we still watch movies in here. It retains really good image quality, and very happy I found out about Carl's and really like this setup. So a lot of people want to know dimensions, so let's go over dimensions of the Carl's. It is 98, and this is for the enclosure. So the enclosure itself is 98 inches high by 125 inches wide, and it is 3 feet or 36 inches deep. People are asking if it butts all the way up against the wall. It does not. This nook is 4 feet deep, so I have a 1 foot buffer zone back there, and there's actually a window back there that I just put blackout curtains over. And I've never had a ball hit the wall. I can't really get back there to confirm how far back the balls are going, but I've had some pretty high ball speed people in here hitting and no issues. So I think the 1 foot of buffer space is good. I have just a few bungees taken out, a couple from the sides. There, and then I think I have one taken out from the middle for wedge shots. So when you hit a wedge shot and it hits high up on the screen, just to give it a little more give so the ball doesn't come back. So that is that. As far as the screen itself, the actual screen, it is 90 inches high by 117 inches wide of actual screen. And you'll know from my other video, well, the border is about 4 inches roughly. For my other video I opted for Carl's foam inserts that kind of plug right in there. And if you get their Carl's enclosures, you're gonna get these little Velcro flaps, but they won't have anything in it. So you can get crafty and try to put your own stuff in there, but talk to Carl's. I know they don't really show it too much on their website, but I really like the foam pieces. I've never had anybody who's hit in there have a ball come flying back. I did add as you saw from the last video, the pipe insulation. So this is 1 inch pipe insulation from like Home Depot, Lowe's, all those big box stores, pretty cheap. I put it there just because I thought it frames it out a little bit better, and it offers some protection, but keep in mind this type of foam is way more of a dense foam. So I haven't had a ball hit there, surprisingly, because I even have kids hitting in here. But I think it would do a lot better with bounce back than just a straight metal pole. And as you guys know, I have my little LED light Amazon setup in here. I got my remote, and then they'll just power on just like that. You got, different colors you could do. I like to do blues, purples for movies, things like that. So I think it just adds that little bit of extra, and it's like 20 bucks for that little setup, and it runs, all the way across, and it all sticks to that pipe insulation. So I think it would have a hard time sticking to the actual enclosure material itself. So just another purpose that pipe insulation serves. Let me grab my list. All right, so covered the enclosure for the most part. Now, a lot of people want to know hitting location. So I know I said it briefly in the other video, but I'm 9.5 feet from ball to screen. So this location here where I hit the ball, got 9.5 feet of flight, and people are asking about wedge shots. When I play wedge shots, I just play with a 56. 56 hits about here for me on the screen from 9.5 feet. 60, I've hit a few. They come in right in this area, so good thing I have that Carl's, triangular foam in there, because it does help with bounce back for that. And then I have a few people who hit a little bit higher trajectory than me, so it was hitting the top of the screen up here. and it was kind of like trampolining it back down, not like in a violent way, but it would hit and then, you know, kind of plop back on the ground. So what I did is I added some of this foam from Amazon, and again, everything in my video will have links. I tried a few different foams. This one was fairly cheap, and this is the extra material. So I just have a strip of it that just sitting on top of that, right in that middle area where wedge shots hit. And I've tried a few different foams, and one good way to test is when you get that foam, you could lay it out on the ground and drop a golf ball on it. And if you see it bounce back hard when it's flat, this one's rolled up, you know that's not the right one, because this one, when it's laying flat, the ball won't even bounce back at all. So I'll put a link to that. I'm actually thinking about incorporating some, since it's cheap enough, behind the entire screen itself. One, to help with light pass through. I heard that some people put blackout curtains behind their screen directly, and it helps with you know, just creating a better picture. I can't say that for sure, but I will try that. But I'm thinking if I hang that, you know, maybe even like that's an inch thick, maybe like a ½ inch thick all the way across the screen, or maybe just in the center area, it will help with the kickback. But for me, the kickback's not really an issue. I like it. If I hit most of my clubs, they kind of just hit and roll just right about to this area here, and then I'll have to walk over to the screen and grab it. So really like that. So again, on that hitting location, I'm 9.5 feet from the screen. And for the Mevo users, from that hitting location at 9.5, my Mevo is sitting back 8 feet on this little pad that I've kind of integrated in here. It's 2 foot by 4 foot on that little lily pad. And it is detachable, it just locks out of there. So if I don't want to use the Mevo and I want to free up an extra 4 feet of room behind here for people, we can just use the GC3 / Bushnell Launch Pro. Now, as far as the projector, so the area where I hit from, 9.5 feet, we've already said it's 8 feet back there at the far wall. I have sloped ceilings. So directly over that hitting location, my ceiling is 10 feet high. No issues hitting the ceilings, and the projector is 8 feet from the ground up to where it's mounted, and it's mounted 1 foot in front of the hitting location. And no, I've never had anybody hit it. I know some people say it looks like you're gonna swing right into it, but because of your swing plane, you would have to have somebody do something really wild to hit that. And I have a guy who frequently comes here. He's 6'7", tall guy, very steep swing, no issues at all. So that is that. As far as the turf, let's talk about that. That's 14 feet long by 10.5 feet wide, and that doesn't include this little rough strip that I have running here to hide the wires. And you know, basically if a ball trickles over there, it's just like a little rough strip that I laid down. So that's just the main turf, and the gym mat sits under it. And as you know, I keep it loose because if I need to, I can just roll this up and put it away. All right, so now for the projector, if you use Projector Central, which most people use, you enter in your projector and it tells you, you enter in your screen size and it says, okay, this projector needs to be 13 inches from the top of the screen in this case, and 6 feet 7 inches back from the screen. Well, if you have an enclosure like this, you're gonna find that that is not correct. It is correct, but the problem is with these projectors, they're saying they want it 13 inches above the top of the screen. Well, the image is going to get clipped off by the throw of the projector. So if you put it at those dimensions with an enclosure, with that canopy, that roof, the image is actually going to hit the top of it. So what you have to do is you end up having to put it lower and angle. I don't know if you can see, but mine's angled slightly up, which most are going to have. Well, when you angle your projector and it's not perfectly flat with the ground, that height is what is the important part to fill on the screen. You want to fill the height. Don't worry about the width. That could be done with your graphics card after the fact. So because you have to have your projector angled up to clear the top of the canopy, that results in the image height shortening. So you have to actually move it back further. So where mine says it could be done at 6 foot or 6.5 feet, I'm actually back almost 8 feet. It's 7 feet 10 inches away from the screen, and that is due to having to have that projector angled up and not have it 13 inches above the screen. You just can't do it, without clipping the image off. So I kind of messed around with it and got it right in a good spot for me to be able to fit that image and not hit the top. Let's see, aside from that, the projector is 8 feet 4 inches from the floor, and I think I've said it already, but it's about a foot in front of the hitting location. Again, no issues with hitting it. I am running the screen, since the screen's set up in a 4:3 aspect ratio, I'm actually running mine at 1400 by 1080 at 60 frames per second. If you guys want to know more about that, I can make another video explaining basically how to set up your graphics card, make a custom resolution so it fills your screen appropriately. And I know you guys are probably seeing the Mevo Plus and the Launch Pro and wondering what's going on here. I still haven't decided yet. I'm waiting for the Fusion technology to come out for the Mevo Plus, but I have been doing some testing and we will have some videos on that soon. I also even have, for the Mevo Plus users, case of the new RCT balls, but there is no Mevo support on them right now. I can tell you they do work, but there is some weird things happening with them. But that'll be for another video. All right, a lot of people have been asking me about my insert. So I switched from the insert, which was a Rocket Golf insert last time, because it was causing some like serious wrist pain issues. It was great because it accepted a normal tee, but it was bad in the sense where you hit fat shots, like great, it kind of replicates a fat shot, but it was really putting a lot of load on my wrists. So what I did is I did a bunch of research, I looked at a bunch of inserts, and I ended up opting for just like a DIY, kind of like a divot style insert. So I just got some Lexan material, and then I took a piece of, you know, the actual turf that I'm using, and just kind of glued that on, and then got some different types of foam, some dense foam here and some softer foam here, like kind of memory foam. And this setup has been working really well for me. Like, it really kind of shows you the fat shots. It has like, you know, I don't know if you could see that, like some give to it. You can still thin it off of it, you can still fat it, but when you hit a nice shot, you can really get that nice down and through. And I have a pretty, I guess a pretty ideal attack angle, you know, about 4 degrees downward for kind of like mid irons. So no complaints about that. If you guys want more information on that, you can kind of comment below and we'll talk about that as well. But that cost me about $30 to build and maybe 30 minutes of my time. So pretty straightforward. The other tip I got for you guys, because I know a few people have done this already. So for the gym mat, flip that back. As you can see, there was my wear marks from where my feet normally are. One tip I will give you guys is to shuffle these around. So you're gonna kind of start wearing the gym mat out where your feet are, just from hitting so much. I mean, it doesn't wear out too bad, but the foam starts to kind of dip in. So I'll just flip this over, you know, once every couple weeks, and I'll shuffle some tiles around. So the two that get worn out there where my feet are, I'll take these two and flip them that way, and then maybe to grab those two, and then the foam kind of like, you know, decompresses, and you can kind of just keep shuffling it. So that's a tip I have. This putting green has been pretty awesome. Yes, it is wearing out in the feet, and the exposure in this video is making it look a lot worse than it actually is, but it's not like it's losing color or like dipping down. It's just kind of like the fibers are kind of unweaving a little bit. So you can definitely see my feet print there, but it's not a big deal. It still putts really nice for, you know, what I found out there. All right, what else we got on the list? Another thing, so people were asking about impact location. So one thing I noticed is how important urethane covered balls are. So I was hitting, you know, Pro V1s in here, a couple like higher end Bridgestone balls, but because I was wearing them out so much, I was like, let me try some cheaper balls. So I switched to some Bridgestone E6, like a more affordable non-urethane covered ball. And I didn't know it at the time, but I thought I had a huge fall to my swing because my wedge shot, how I was saying that hits normally right about there, I was hitting the ceiling like every time. I mean, I tried something, I was like, maybe I'm flipping my wrist. You know, what am I doing? Why am I hitting up there all of a sudden? And then I found out it's because non-urethane covered balls launch higher. And I mean, we're talking like a foot to a foot and a half higher launch I was getting. And I went through like weeks of trying to change my swing. So anybody who's looking for balls to hit in the simulator, if you're trying to save some money, Kirkland balls right here, they're like 24 bucks for 2 dozen at Costco. They have pretty similar spin numbers to the Pro V ones I was using, and they don't have, because they're urethane covered, they don't have that issue of hitting too high. So if you're kind of running out of room or you find you're hitting higher in your screen, I would check the ball. All right, as far as, I got a few people asking, what about shanks? Anybody hit shank shots? Well, I've had people hit shank shots for sure, and I've hit a couple myself, but my shanks usually stay like right around there. When I have players that I'm a little bit nervous for, that's where the Mevo Plus comes in handy. I can just use that one. I haven't had anybody hit this. That'd be a pretty hard shank, but I don't know if you saw the video. Rory McIlroy shanked one right into a GC quad, so it can happen. But what I have for the shankers, because I had a few people over here hit the wall, there, and there, which I've since fixed. But now I just got this here. It's just an Amazon gym mat. Kind of tucks in nicely here. So when I got people over that I'm not too sure about, there you go. I just set that up there, and then that seems to be the location that they get hit in. For the side net, you already know from the other video, I have the Carl's side net. It just Velcros on really quick. Just keep it stored underneath the little sitting area. And then it's ready, protected for kids and amateur golfers, newbies, all that stuff. So let me slide this back in. So I got the camera going. I'm like going down a list trying to make sure I got everything covered here. Now putting, so a lot of people are asking me about putting. With this new insert, so this is basically 35 millimeters high. I have like a little dot you can see down there to show center. And I don't have a putter here, surprisingly, but it putts fine. This little seam, it's like perfect height. It doesn't really, mess with it. And it rolls pretty nice. I putt in here a lot. I practice putting on these little cups. So putting is not an issue, or you can set the ball here for the Mevo and just putt off to the side. This thing is awesome for putting. Mevo Plus users already know there's some issues there, but hopefully that new Fusion tracking technology fixes that. And again, we're gonna do some kind of side-by-sides. Mevo Plus holds its own, but I probably shouldn't get too into that. So let's see what other questions I have. Wedge shots, covered that. Noise, it is not very loud. I mean, if you hit driver in here, it can get kind of loud, but it's not a big deal for me. I'll have a video coming out where I'm actually going to be hitting shots with these two, so you'll kind of hear the noise there. But I think I have a shot on like a YouTube story that you guys can kind of hear some sound from that. Lighting, again, I don't have a spotlight. I have these Amazon LED lights that are so easy to put in. I highly recommend. I might add another one right in front of the projector. I just don't know what that's going to do for lighting, or for the display. So I might kind of mess around with that. But I usually keep it. This is light for me, but for the video I brighten it up. So I usually keep it. These are on a dimmer switch here. I keep it about there, and it doesn't have an issue seeing the ball, the Mevo, nor the Bushnell Launch Pro. So I don't know. I see some people use a spotlight. I try to keep it as realistic. So these are like daylight bulbs, because I'm definitely not playing golf on a course with a spotlight on my ball. So I try to keep everything as par as I can get it. All right, we covered the projector. Movement of the mat. So people talk about, does the mat move? Is it glued down? It's not glued down. There's no sand, anything like that. It just sits in place. Over time, I have my kids in here doing gymnastics sometimes on this, which is great because this thing gets so much use. We watch movies in here. My kids can do gymnastics routines in here, but it doesn't move. I shouldn't say it doesn't move. It moves a little bit, but it's so easy to, every now and then I'll just grab that corner. It seems like that corner moves in a little bit and I can see from the side turf, and I just give it a little tug, maybe a ½ inch to an inch. So no big deal there. Now cost. So this whole setup, as you see, so let's knock out the 2 launch monitors and let's knock out the laptop. Everything else you see right here, you're talking less than $3,000. That'll get you the Carl's DIY enclosure. And again, that's custom built, and that includes the cost of the EMT from Home Depot. That'll get you the lighting, the wiring you need, the projector mount, the projector, the flooring. That'll get you basically everything else, everything for the setup for less than $3,000. And what you're looking at in my setup, I paid less than 3,000. You could get even closer if you opt to not get the GT 1090, you get the GT 1080, which is a great projector. The turf about 500, just shop around. The mat's going to be about 300. And again, links to everything in the description. Turf, find a local putting turf supplier, try some different putting turfs. The insert I made for 30 bucks. So lighting, $20, wiring, maybe another $40, projector mount, 20 bucks. So you can have something like this in your house, obviously if you have the room, and make it look really nice for less than 3,000. Then you want to throw in a Mevo Plus, it's 1,800 bucks. There's discounts all the time. You can get it for 1,800 shipped out the door. And then the laptop, shop around. I got this Alienware R17 laptop from Best Buy, open box for $1,200. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM, has a 2070 super graphics card, terabyte of memory. It has everything that it needs to power any of the softwares out there. And it's just shopping around. It's like a $2,500 laptop, but because I was at Best Buy, they have an open box. Like, ask them, can you guys go a little bit lower? Usually they can. So add in the Mevo and that laptop in the instance that I bought, that's another $3,000. So this whole setup was, under $6,000, and it could be half for less. So just to go over real quick, roughly the enclosure is about $1,400 to $1,500. You can knock off probably $400 or $500 by not getting the Carl's premium screen like I did. You can get the preferred screen. You can opt out and not get the safety foam if you're a pretty solid hitter and you're the only one who's using it. You don't have to worry about hitting one into the corner. The projector, you can get a brand new GT 1080 HDR. This is a GT 1090 HDR. I got an open box deal on through Best Buy, but you can get a GT 1080 for $800. So there's all different kinds of ways you can save here. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment. This video is going a little bit longer than I was hoping, but I hope I covered just about every question you have. Please like the video, and subscribe. It really helps with the channel, and any questions you have, as you can see on the comments, I try to answer every single one of them. So thanks guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Hopefully it's a little more exciting, but again, just wanted to cover all these questions. Have a good one.